Extremely important visit of the Prime Minister to the Maldives, and this is one country which holds a special significance in the Indian Ocean region, and the Prime Minister has repeatedly stressed on ensuring that sea lanes of communication are kept free. India has always come to Maldives' help in good times and in bad, as the Prime Minister said. He is now shaking hands with members of Parliament. In 1988, there was a coup in Maldives, and at that point of time, the Indian Army, the Parachute Regiment, had gone in and restored democracy in Maldives. Another time, there was another coup, 2012, when the current speaker, Mohammad Nasheed, he was the president of Maldives. Of course, a court had ruled technically that wasn't a coup, but India was monitoring that situation very closely and carefully, even that time, to ensure that democracy was strengthened. There have been ups and downs in this relationship. But what's extremely significant is that the Prime Minister is taking the neighborhood first approach further. He is in Maldives, his first foreign visit. He addressed the Parliament. He slammed nations backing terror. That was a very important point he made. And why is this significant? We will tell you more on the broadcast. Because the Islamic State, Daesh as a terrorist organization, is making big inroads into Maldives. That's point one. Point two, what is also significant at this point of time is that Lashkar-e-Taiba, a Pakistan-based terrorist organization, is also trying to spread its tentacles in Maldives. Earlier this evening, the Prime Minister was conferred the highest honor of Maldives that's accorded to visiting dignitaries, the most honorable order of the distinguished rule of Nishan Izzuddin by the President of Maldives, Mohammad Soleh. India and Maldives also inked 6 MOUs during the bilateral meeting. The President of Maldives will now hold a gala dinner for Prime Minister Narendra Modi. After engagements in Maldives, the Prime Minister will then visit Sri Lanka. The visit to these two countries come amidst reports that China is desperately trying to make inroads in both these countries. It did succeed initially, hasn't succeeded completely, but I quickly want to cut across to India Today's Foreign Affairs editor Gita Mohan, joining us with more on the story. Gita, an extremely significant visit, this of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, in every respect, strategically, as far as the two navies are concerned, and also diplomatically.
Well, that's right, Gaurav. One of the most significant visits of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Maldives was the only South Asian country that was not part of Prime Minister Modi's visits in his first tenure, in his previous tenure. And that's the reason why, giving focus to neighborhood first, the Indian Prime Minister focused on Maldives and ensured that Maldives becomes his first destination. And look at the kind of honor that Maldives has accorded to the Indian Prime Minister. He's not only gone ahead and been allowed to address the Majlis, which is the parliament. He was also accorded the highest civilian award of Maldives, not just respecting India, but also respecting India's contributions, particularly Prime Minister Narendra Modi, in ensuring that democracy returns, normalcy returns to Maldives.
Normalcy and democracy extremely significant, but neighborhood first, that's a very important signal that's being sent out. Let's listen in to what the Prime Minister said.
आतंकवाद हमारे समय की एक बड़ी चुनौती है। यह खतरा एक देश या एक क्षेत्र के लिए नहीं, ये खतरा पूरी मानवता के लिए है। आतंकवादियों के न तो अपने बैंक होते हैं, न टंकसाल और न ही हथियारों की फैक्ट्री, फिर भी उन्हें धन और हथियारों की कभी कमी नहीं होती। कहां से पाते हैं ये सब? कौन देता है उन्हें ये सुविधाएं? आतंकवाद की स्टेट स्पॉन्सरशिप सबसे बड़ा खतरा बना हुआ है। यह बहुत बड़ा दुर्भाग्य है कि लोग अभी भी गुड टेररिस्ट और बैड टेररिस्ट का भेद करने की गलती कर रहे हैं। कुछ महीने पहले मालदीव के लोगों ने एकजुट होकर दुनिया के सामने लोकतंत्र की एक मिसाल कायम। आपकी वो यात्रा चुनौतियों से भरी थी, लेकिन मालदीव ने दिखाया, आपने दिखा दिया कि जीत अंततः जनता की ही होती है। यह कोई मामूली सफलता नहीं थी। आपकी यह कामयाबी दुनिया भर के लिए एक मिसाल और प्रेरणा है, और मालदीव की सफलता पर सबसे अधिक गर्व और खुशी किसी को हो सकती थी, उत्तर स्वाभाविक है। आपके सबसे घनिष्ठ मित्र, आपके सबसे नजदीकी पड़ोसी और दुनिया के सबसे बड़े लोकतंत्र भारत।
With Prime Minister Narendra Modi visiting Maldives and Sri Lanka and the External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar visiting Bhutan first, the message of Modi Sarkar 2.0 on foreign policy is very clear. It is the neighborhood first, but a neighborhood sans Pakistan state-sponsored terror. So Pakistan's Prime Minister Imran Khan's letter for dialogue is being treated with the contempt it deserves, because Pakistan first needs to take credible, visible and irreversible steps against India-centric terror. With cameraman Kirpal Singh in Delhi, Gaurav Sawant for India Today. The message is very clear. Neighborhood first. BIMSTEC instead of SARC. A very clear message that's also being sent out to Pakistan, a state sponsor of terror. Mend your ways if you want progress in this region. Joining me now on the broadcast is Professor Brahma Chilani. He's a noted security affairs analyst. Also with me is Ambassador G. Parthasarathy, India's former High Commissioner to Pakistan, someone who watches the region very closely, and our Foreign Affairs Editor Gita Mohan. But Professor Chilani, to you first. Has the Modi Sarkar 2.0 sent out a very strong signal to the entire neighborhood? BIMSTEC first, SARC in the cold storage, all because of Pakistan state-sponsored terror. He didn't name Pakistan just a short while back, but talked about state sponsors of terror, sir.
I think Modi has begun his new term on a very sound and wise note. First, he chose the world's smallest Muslim nation for his first overseas visit. That is very symbolically important. The leader of the world's largest democracy is visiting the world's smallest Muslim nation. Another important move that he made, a wise move, was to invite leaders from BIMSTEC instead of putting the focus on the moribund SARC. SARC has no future. SARC boxes India in an artificial, narrow framework limited to the Indian subcontinent, while BIMSTEC holds the promise. It's a dynamic institution. It is oriented in a way that it meshes with India's Act East policy. In fact, the Bay of Bengal is where India's Act East and Neighborhood First policies meet. So both these moves have been smart moves on the part of Prime Minister Modi.
Stay with me for a moment. I also want to bring in Ambassador Parthasarathy. Ambassador Parthasarathy, ties with Maldives back on an even keel, went completely awry when former President Yamin, tilted more towards China. But with President Soleh, you expect cooperation to improve in the days, weeks and months to come? Ambassador Parthasarathy, can you hear me? We'll just try and reestablish that link with Ambassador Parthasarathy. But Brahma, let me take this question to you as Gita Mohan joins us in just a moment. As far as President Soleh is concerned, when he was sworn in, Prime Minister Narendra Modi went there. Today, there was a very warm hug. The Prime Minister being awarded Maldives' highest civilian award for foreigners. The military cooperation between the two, what does that indicate, Brahmachalari?
When President Soli took office, the Maldives was on the brink of debt default. It was close to getting ensnared in a Chinese debt trap. Indian assistance, especially $1.4 billion aid that India has provided to the Maldives, has helped Maldives to escape the Chinese debt trap and also stabilize its economy. That in turn has enabled the ruling Maldivian Democratic Party to sweep the parliamentary elections in April. So India's role has been a major factor in the stability and the progress that the Maldives is making.
Okay, Ambassador Parthasarathi and Gita Mohan, Gita, to you first. Pakistan is repeatedly seeking dialogue with India. Imran Khan has again written to Prime Minister Narendra Modi, but Pakistan has taken no action against India-centric terror. No action against Hafiz Saeed, no action against Masood Azhar. So, is our relationship with Pakistan in a cold storage till the time Pakistan takes credible, visible and irreversible action, Geeta, against India-centric terror?
Well, the messaging that we saw of Prime Minister Narendra Modi in the speech that he delivered today, where he said, and he spoke about, without naming Pakistan, good and bad terrorists, state sponsorship of terrorism, and countries that support terrorists and terrorism. That very clearly shows which way the Indian administration is headed, Gaurav. Even if there is, because there have been 3 attempts by Prime Minister Imran Khan. One was his congratulatory tweet, then a phone call, and now a letter to Prime Minister Narendra Modi seeking peace and prosperity in the region. But in that entire letter, Gaurav, unfortunately, there was no mention of ridding the region of terrorism. And that is something that the Indian administration is waiting for Pakistan to see. All the action that we've seen is to do, including Hafiz Saeed not being allowed to lead the prayers during the Eid this time around, which in itself was historic. But all that is whether if Pakistan is going to sustain that, walk the talk, or is it only because of the pressures of the FATF?
But these are non-measures. These are non-measures, Geeta.
Falling into that trap yet again.
Oh, absolutely. So these are absolute non-measures, Professor Brahmachalani. We're also establishing that link with Parthasarathi in just a moment. But Brahmachalani, these are absolute non-measures. Usko Eid ki namaz nahi padhne di Hafiz Saeed ko. Who cares? FIR darj karo, jail mein dalo. None of that seems to be happening. His prosecution is not happening.
Well, all these are for the show, to relieve pressure on Pakistan and to show to the Financial Action Task Force that Pakistan is doing something. Because Pakistan right now is on the brink of bankruptcy. It's very much dependent on securing an IMF aid package. That in turn is dependent on Pakistan meeting some conditions. And most importantly, Pakistan is trying to avoid getting on the Financial Action Task Force's blacklist. Right now it's on the grey list. If it's on the blacklist, it will face Western economic sanctions. So Pakistan is doing all this not because of India.
Yes.
It's doing it to avoid international sanctions kicking in.
Yes. I sincerely hope, Geeta, I'm sure India is not falling into the Pakistan trap again, as previous prime ministers repeatedly fell in Pakistan trap कि वो Hafiz Saeed को ईद की नमाज नहीं पढ़ने दी. So India once again resumes composite dialogue with Pakistan, even though no tangible action is taken. So does India have red lines, Geeta? What do we expect Pakistan to do before ties are resumed? Less, as Foreign Minister S. Jaishankar indicated, SARC has problems, BIMSTEC has energy. That's the way forward. Geeta.
And that's what the Indian administration is really focusing on. A day ago, the Ministry of External Affairs held a press briefing in which it was very clearly mentioned when they said that there have been instances where Pakistan is trying to hold talks with the Indian Prime Minister on the sidelines of the SCO, to which Ravish Kumar, the spokesperson, said there are no such plans right now. and no plans being formulated for a bilateral on the sidelines of the SCO. On the Hafiz Saeed question, he very clearly said that these are not actions that have sustained, and so we really need to see Pakistan walk the talk. Let them dismantle terror infrastructure. So the Indian side is very clear, and given the mandate that Prime Minister Narendra Modi has come with, on the grounds that they are going to continue their tirade against Pakistan till the time Pakistan does not dismantle its terror infrastructure, it doesn't seem like they're going to shift that stance anytime soon. Even if there is a brief interaction on the sidelines of the SCO because of Russia and China, the message only is going to be any forward movement with you.
Stay with me, Geeta. I want to bring in Ambassador Partha Sarthi. We finally have a line with him. Ambassador Partha Sarthi, is SARC now on the back burner, or is it consigned to where it actually belongs? And BIMSTEC is the future, perhaps BIMSTEC plus, because we are great friends with Afghanistan, Maldives, not a part of BIMSTEC, but the entire region minus Pakistan moves forward.
SARC is not just in the background, it's in cold storage, and it should remain there. This started during the summit in Goa, and that was immediately followed, where we invited BIMSTEC, it was immediately followed by refusing to attend the SARC summit in
Islamabad.
Islamabad, and we were immediately backed by Afghanistan, Bangladesh and Bhutan. So therefore, we in effect have cut out SARC contacts, brought back BIMSTEC. Why Maldives is important is it's one organization, not a part of BIMSTEC.
Yes.
And while earlier it had a China soft government,
yes,
we now have a government which is positive towards India, and therefore we have to go out of our way to cultivate it. I hope that apart from this bilateral visit, we have an India, Sri Lanka, Maldives get together as we've had in the past, because Maldives is in our west coast and not the Bay of Bengal.
Yes.
But what is very clear from Mr. Modi's visit is that the Chinese had edged us out deliberately. We are going to be back, because for us in our west, Maldives, Mauritius, Madagascar and Seychelles, these are crucial for the Western Indian Ocean.
Yes.
And with defense ties and particularly with radars, we establish a presence in the Western Indian Ocean.
And that's exactly what the Prime Minister...
to monitor fleets. And I think...
That's exactly what we did today, Professor Chilani,
Yes.
with a coastal radar system that we are talking about, also with the navies and the coast guards of India and Maldives cooperating together. In many ways, the relationship now finally back on an even keel. Pakistan, Professor Chilani, has taken no action against India-centric terror. Yet, as Gita Mohan was pointing out, Pakistan has thrice tried to approach Prime Minister Narendra Modi saying, let's resolve all outstanding issues. So should we be talking to Pakistan at all to solve issues, or should India stick to its stand that till Pakistan takes visible, credible and irreversible action against Hafiz Saeed and Masood Azhar, there is no talks or restoring ties with Pakistan?
Pakistan currently is desperate to have talks with India, desperate to show to the IMF and the Financial Action Task Force that subcontinental tensions are diffusing. Yet in action, Pakistan has not changed. For example, to give you just one example, despite India lifting all airspace restrictions, Pakistan till now has not opened up the main air corridors through its airspace. It has reopened only 2 southern air corridors, but the main air corridors over Pakistan remain closed, at least till 15th June. Pakistan is hoping that Prime Minister Modi, like former External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj, who went to Bishkek, she took special permission to overfly Pakistani airspace.
Yes.
So Pakistan is hoping that Prime Minister Modi, when he goes to Bishkek on 14th of June, will also seek special permission to cross Pakistan on his way to Kyrgyzstan. It would be, in my view, not appropriate for the Prime Minister to seek special permission to go through Pakistani airspace.
But
it would be better if he took a detour.
Yes.
Because we need to keep Pakistan in the diplomatic doghouse.
Yes.
When Pakistan is desperate for financial aid from IMF, it's under pressure to act against terrorists. India should be intensifying that pressure diplomatically, militarily,
Absolutely.
and economically.
Absolutely, but Gita, there are some, Gita, your sources are telling you that like External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj, she sought a favor. Now apparently even Prime Minister Narendra Modi seems to be seeking this favor to fly over Pakistan. Isn't that a flip-flop in India's tough stance against Pakistan?
Well, I don't think it's a flip-flop because it is Pakistan which has to open up the airspace for dignitaries. There is a lot of, the detour would mean a lot of time that would be consumed of the Prime Minister, and there are security reasons as well, which is why seeking special consideration is something that Pakistan should be thinking of in terms of how much loss international airlines have had in the recent past because of their cussedness, because of their stubbornness. And India, on its part, whether Pakistan allows its space or not, is not going to come down on its own demands of what it wants from Pakistan. If you're sticking to your stand on what you really want from Pakistan, then Pakistan will remain in that so-called doghouse, like one of our experts said, Gaurav, unless and until India is willing to talk and resolve issues, come to the talking table without Pakistan acting against terrorism. And if that is not the case, then the considerations that India is asking for is because the detour is going to be very tedious, very long, and security is a huge concern.
Ambassador Parthasarathi, is this a mixed signal that India gives out, takes a tough stand on Pakistan? Every civilian who travels to Europe or beyond Pakistan has to take the detour. But for former External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj, a favor was taken. Now once again for Prime Minister Narendra Modi to go to Bishkek. Should the Prime Minister be following suit and seek consideration from Pakistan?
I would prefer he avoided Pakistan, but if they have their own good reasons, I wouldn't say that it's a great tragedy if he did go. But more importantly, I think the message should be very, very clear. I mean, talking of Hafiz Saeed, look, the least we want is Dawood Ibrahim for 1993,
yes,
Zakir Rahman Lakwi for Mumbai 2009, and certainly Masood Azhar for the parliament attack.
Yes.
There can be no coming down on that demand. And we should, I think this should be made very, very clear. 3 people responsible for mass terrorist attacks.
Absolutely.
First from Dawood Ibrahim.
Dawood Ibrahim,
Second,
Hafiz Saeed,
as
Masood
I said,
Azhar,
Zakir
Zakir
Rahman
Rahman
Lakwi,
Lakwi.
and third Masood Azhar.
Absolutely, you're spot on
Yes.
there. You're spot on there.
They have to come to India to face trial, and either they are jailed for life in Pakistan and but not kept in ISI safe houses, but really in jail, internationally looked at. Otherwise, no concessions. One last point.
Okay.
You know, since now we have brought Maldives also in. You know, looking at this visit in larger geopolitical terms.
Yes.
The Prime Minister also spoke of people who get you into debt by offering so-called aid.
So
That
I'll
was
come
clearly
to
a
China
reference to
and debt aid in just a
They've done it in
moment.
Sri
But since
Lanka,
we are on the issue
and
of
they've
terror,
done-
I'm coming to that. I'm coming to China and debt trap diplomacy in just a
Yeah.
moment. But I want to
No,
stay
no,
on the issue of terror.
on terror, no
there's another
compromise.
threat. There's another threat when it comes to Maldives.
No
Professor
compromise.
Chilani,
Yeah.
you have Islamic State terror and you have Lashkar-e-Taiba in Maldives, and that's a fear that Lashkar-e-Taiba is trying to establish a base in the uninhabited islands. I think some 1,200 odd islands, some of the uninhabited islands. Lashkar-e-Taiba wants to set a base, and that Islamic State mindset, the Daesh mindset, is a cause for serious concern for Maldives, for Sri Lanka, and for India.
Gaurav, you raised an important point. Maldives, not many know this, Maldives has the dubious distinction of having sent the world's highest per capita number of foreign fighters to wage jihad in Syria and Iraq.
True.
This happened under the former autocratic president Yamin. So Maldives has a serious internal Islamist problem,
Yes.
which the ISI is seeking to exploit. Just the way the ISI is very active in Sri Lanka. The Easter bombings in Sri Lanka help to highlight the jihadist threat in Tamil Nadu and Kerala,
Yes.
which we in India have been ignoring. But Sri Lankan investigations have revealed the cross-strait ties of the jihadists. These guys operate and they have close connections with jihadist groups in Kerala and Tamil Nadu. Similarly, in the Maldives, the role of ISI in helping Lashkar-e-Toiba and other extremists to gain a foothold is with the intention of targeting Indian interests.
Yes.
And given the fact that Maldives has a burgeoning Islamist population, a population that is increasingly radicalized, provides a fertile ground to the ISI to create this kind of milieu in which the Lashkar-e-Toiba can thrive.
And that is why Gita Mohan, the Prime Minister's visit to Maldives and to Sri Lanka becomes extremely crucial. These are two countries that we really have to ensure that they remain free of ISI pressure, Lashkar-e-Taiba, and worse, Islamic State radicalization. Sri Lanka has already bled. There is fear that Maldives is also in the clutches, or at least pockets of Maldives are in the clutches of these Islamic State terrorists.
Well, Gaurav, the fact that after the Easter Sunday bombing, Sri Lanka named one country particularly, apart from the fact that the attackers had travelled to India, the one country that they raised concerns regarding is Maldives. So yes, it is a concern. India is going to work with both countries, Maldives and Sri Lanka, with regards to growing Islamic fundamentalism in the region, and particularly safe havens, or for that matter, a space for people who have been living or are from Maldives and have moved, like Ambassador Partha Sarthi said, have moved and have been waging war with the ISIS against the international forces in Syria. It is a huge concern, a serious concern, and that's the reason why Prime Minister Narendra Modi, when he raised the issue of terrorism, also said there are no good or bad terrorists. We will see more conversations and interactions on terrorism, not just with Maldives and the administration of Maldives, but also with Sri Lanka, where he's headed tomorrow. There will be a symbolic visit, in all probability, to St. Anthony's Church. This is a show of solidarity against any kind of terrorism in the region, and Maldives certainly is on top of that list when it comes to Islamic State terrorism.
And Ambassador Partha Sarthi, External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar, he gave out the roadmap for the relationship in our entire neighborhood. He spoke of connectivity. He spoke of a vision of economic cooperation when he spoke of BIMSTEC, perhaps BIMSTEC Plus, Bhutan, Nepal, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Thailand, Sri Lanka, Maldives, and Afghanistan. What about Afghanistan, Ambassador Partha Sarthi? Because when SARC is put in a cold storage, how does India ensure that Afghanistan, our ties remain very warm with them?
No. I think Afghanistan, the greatest thing we have done for them is the Chabahar port. You know, all the aid which was going to their schools from India by way of wheat for their midday meals for children and all that is now going through Chabahar. So really, with regard to Afghanistan, it is what is called as a transit corridor.
Yes.
India, Iran, Afghanistan through Chabahar. That is crucial, because that is and the other point to be made is the Iranians are now daggers drawn with the Pakistanis because they are accusing Pakistan of fomenting Sunni groups with the helping of some Arab countries in the Sistan-Baluchistan province. There have been at least two major flare-ups inside Baluchistan caused by by the Pakistanis, claimed by the Iranians,
Yes.
where a large number of people were killed. So Pakistan, really, we should factor in one thing. They are now getting themselves into trouble on three fronts: Iran, Afghanistan and India. And really, if we don't take advantage of that situation, we should go back to the go back to diplomatic schools.
This
because
trinity,
right
this trinity
now,
at the helm of affairs.
Look, there's no question now of there is no question of our being goody, whatever all our bleeding hearts may say.
Oh, I
in India.
sincerely hope so, and that's
Keep
the point.
the pressure on
Professor Chilani.
Pakistan. It started when it started with the BRICS summit,
Yes,
when we
yes.
excluded SARC, and
Absolutely.
then followed up by
Absolutely.
almost closing
so
down
you have Prime Minister Narendra Modi,
SARC.
you have National Security Advisor Ajit Doval, and you have External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar, and if I may, on internal security, so you have Home Minister Amit Shah. So clearly there is a lot of pressure that Pakistani terrorists and that ecosystem will be feeling. But it's not just the issue of terror, Professor Chilani. When you talk about connectivity, again, Pakistan is such a hindrance. Connectivity, Ambassador Jaishankar, External Affairs Minister Jaishankar was talking about connectivity in the region. Pakistan is such a hindrance, doesn't permit us to get to Afghanistan. So it's a hindrance in every which way, whether terror or connectivity.
Well, India is very unfortunate because India finds itself in one of the world's most combustible neighborhoods. And therefore, India has to break out of its narrow neighborhood, and that's where BIMSTEC, the East-oriented BIMSTEC, looks a far more promising initiative than any other initiative that is confined to South Asia. We need to build on that. We need to, for example, we can extend BIMSTEC by merging it with the Mekong Ganga initiative that will extend BIMSTEC all the way to Vietnam, for example. We also need to pay closer attention to Sri Lanka and Maldives on a regular basis. We began paying close attention to these two countries only in response to Chinese encroachments. That's when we woke up to the fact that China was in our maritime backyard. For example, to give you one example, Maldives signed an agreement with China to let China build a marine observatory in the Maldives. Now, this marine observatory will be able to track the movement of Indian submarines. Now, that agreement has not been disavowed, not been cancelled by the Soli government.
Okay.
So while we are now working closely with the Maldives on defense matters, we have to be cognizant of the fact that Chinese leverage over the Maldives has not disappeared.
Yes.
China still has leverage over Maldives. It has leverage over even Sri Lanka.
Yes.
So we have to be on our toes. We need to be proactive.
And perhaps, we have the best team on the job. We will continue to track developments in the neighborhood. Neighborhood first remains one of our top focus stories. Ambassador Parthasarathi, Gita Mohan and Brahma Chilani, for the moment, many thanks for joining me here on India Today. The Prime Minister, after this gala dinner, the Prime Minister then heads to Sri Lanka tomorrow. Now, India Today spoke to India's ambassador to Maldives and Sri Lanka, the Sri Lankan envoy to India, about this visit. Let's listen in.
For Maldives, it is India First policy, which has been reiterated several times by President Soli. So this visit also epitomizes the synergy between the India First policy of Maldives and the neighborhood first policy of India.
The government of India visit India as a friendly gesture to show solidarity and to be considering it as a very humane point of time for him to visit.
Thanks for watching the video. For more such news and updates, please like, share and subscribe to India Today. Also check out our other great videos from our channel. We know you will love to.